Hi, I'm Kayla Matthews, and this is my second response. If you see a response under my actual response with no content, essentially, it is because Canvas is not showing any of my videos. So I'm going to just repost it in a sense that hopefully if I just give a link instead of actually posting on Canvas, maybe you would be able to see it. So to begin my response, so you talked about how in chapter 3, ethical subjectivism is just a common term to just say that everyone has different viewpoints. I would agree. I would like to add that their example is very important to kind of defining on what it actually means, because it does give a very ethical issue, one, and then two, it gives that example in itself really gives a good viewpoint on like how it really does differ and how it's really common in America. And so with ethical issues not even pertaining to religion or politics, but just how individuals make different life choices than one another, like that is, excuse me, that is just their viewpoint. And so I actually have my book right here. And so when we're discussing chapter 3 and we're discussing essentially just subjectivism, they're going to talk about emotivism as well. And I kind of wanted to add this on to your response because it is a term that I wasn't necessarily familiar with. And emotivism, as known by the book, is to know that instead of being based on perspective, it's kind of moving in a sense where morals are based on emotion. And so kind of activism and emotion is what drives emotivism in itself. And so when they use these examples right here in the book, gas prices aren't rising, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, it's talking about how these are written by fact. So those are fact, those are objective. But when you're discussing emotivism, that is morally based. And so it has a foundation that, like I said, it drives emotion, but it's not driven by fact. And so I think that's why it's difficult how like different perspectives work, is just because a lot of people base their foundation or their standard by opinions and not by fact. And so this basically just talks about how moral language is also involved, and really just there's simple subjectivism, but really just there's no disagree, like you can disagree, however there's no sense of actual moral disagreement, just because there's no right or wrong answer as to what, you know, morality is, because there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. And so it's fluid. And that's what I noticed and wanted to add on to your video in regards to chapter 3, because I thought that was super important for understanding how it really could be subjective a lot of the times. And usually they don't point that out. Usually they just point out the fact that here are the facts, but the facts might not always be objective. And so I'm glad they pointed this out, because it is super important. I feel like it's not always entirely discussed when you're discussing a moral philosophy. But thank you.